to the Deck Forge, where I craft commander decks and forge creative brews worthy of your next table. Today's build comes from a viewer request. Big thanks to Namox2944 for this one. They wanted to see what I could do with Hope Estheim, specifically tuned for bracket 3 to 4 tables, meaning upgraded to higher power commander play. And honestly, I couldn't have picked a better challenge. When Final Fantasy Magic Set released, a lot of players focused on the flashy legends, Lightning, Sephiroth, Kefka. Don't worry if you've done that, so did I. Hope Estheim is one that quietly hides some incredible potential. Hope Estheim is a 2/2 for 2 mana with lifelink, and at the beginning of your end step, each opponent mills cards equal to the amount of life you've gained this turn. It's a deceptively simple design, life in, mill out, but the more you play it, the more layers appear. In many ways, it feels like playing the story of Hope himself, fragile at first, but with the right support, he becomes unstoppable, wielding the power of life and memory to wear down the opposition. Now, there's a few clear directions you can take this build. Voltron Hope, turning him into a one-shot mill engine, Combo Hope, using infinite loops to mill everyone at once, or my personal favourite, Engine Hope, where we create a steady life gain machine and let inevitability handle the rest. For this video, we'll start with the engine build, expand into a Voltron path, and explore how the deck scales up for higher power tables. To start, we want a consistent source of creatures entering the battlefield and triggering life gain. Our Soul Sister package includes Soul Warden, Daxos Blessed by the Sun, Luminarch Aspirant, and Ajani's Welcome. Each one turns creature ETBs into small pulses of life. Those small pulses quickly add up once you start flooding the board. Our token generation backbone features Adeline Resplendent Cathar, Leonin War Leader, and Thunderhawk Gunship, each creating bodies that not only fuel life gain but also create a resilient board presence. And to make those life totals skyrocket, we've added Alhammarat's Archive and Wind Crystal, both doubling life gain, Cleric Class and Vitality Angel, which increase each instance of life gain by 1. This combination quickly escalates from small gains to massive life surges. The moment you gain 20 or more life in a turn, Hope's end step trigger turns into a serious win condition, milling opponents dozens of cards at once. Of course, we don't just want to gain life, we want to use it. Cards like Elendra's Hierophant and Exemplar of Light get stronger every time you gain life. Minwu, White Sage spread 1/1 counters to every cleric on the field. Heliod, Suncrowned gives you the flexibility to place those counters anywhere you need them. Most of the time, it will end up powering up Hope. Heliod can also give lifelink to one of our creatures. Given how big some of them get, this can really ramp up our life gain. Then you've got Angelic Accord and Resplendent Angel, which create flying angels whenever you've gained enough life that turn. Importantly, their triggers stack alongside Hope's, meaning you can order them so the angels enter first, triggering additional life gain before Hope's mill resolves. It's a beautiful little rules interaction, but feels both fair and absolutely brutal. One card I want to highlight is Will, Scion of Peace. This one's a hidden gem. He reduces the cost of your white and blue spells by the amount of life you've gained that turn. So if you've just gained 10 life, your next spell could essentially be free. Perfect for casting March of the Canonized or a massive Sphinx's Revelation, turning your excess life into mana efficiency. Here's where things get a little interesting. Hope's mill trigger can be upwards of 20 cards. That means clone effects can do ridiculous work here. Spark Double, Sakashima Thousand Faces, and Irenicus's Vile Duplication all let you create extra copies of Hope that each trigger their own end-step mill. With 2 or 3 Hopes out, every turn feels like a cinematic chain reaction, doubling or even tripling the mill for your opponents. Even better, if you have multiple Hopes, Y'shtola Rule's double end-step flicker effect stacks beautifully, allowing one Hope to trigger, then another, then do it all over again in the additional end step. Pair this with Mere Battlesphere, and here's what happens. You flicker the Battlesphere, you create 4 new Mere tokens. Each Mere entering triggers your Soul Sisters, gaining more life. Hope's mill trigger resolves for life gained. Then, thanks to Y'shtola, you get another end step, and Hope's abilities trigger again. It's one of those synergy moments that just feels right for this deck, thematically powerful and mechanically devastating. Now let's talk about the Voltron variant, because this is where Hope turns from a humble healer into a mythic hero. The goal here is simple: make Hope as large as possible, swing once and mill the entire table. The best tools for this approach include Celestial Mantle, which gives a buff, but also has an on-hit effect, which doubles your life total. This counts towards life gained this turn and can be enough to mill the table in 1 on its own. All that glitters scales your commander's power with the artifacts and enchantments you control. Caduceus, Staff of Hermes, makes the creature it's equipped to indestructible and prevents all damage that would be dealt to it if you have 30 or more life. Pretty simple in this deck since you start at 40 and generally your life only goes in one direction, up. Excalibur, Sword of Eden, is a huge buff, giving +10/+10 and Vigilance, with a downside of costing 12 to play, so if it shows up later on when you already have a few equipment out, it can be played for free. Black Beige Reforged and Excalibur 2 scale with your land count and life gained, respectively. Fire Shrieker and Colossal Hammer for raw damage output. Sword of Light and Shadow gives protection as well as a little life gain on hit. Hammer of Nazan is a must-include for any equipment-focused deck as it cheats equipment costs for all equipment you play. And Maul of the Skyclaves gives some evasion and equips itself. If you go deeper into this build, you can trim back some of the token package and dedicate more slots to equipment, auras, and protective spells, keeping hope alive while you assemble your arsenal. The result, one clean combat step and your opponent's libraries vanish into the ether. Speaking of getting massive bursts of life, there's one particular combo that takes Hope's ability from steady value to instant win territory. Now, I couldn't talk about Hope Estheim without mentioning one of the cleanest and most devastating synergies you can run in this deck. Bruvak the Grandiloquent, Rhox Faithmender, and Beacon of Immortality. Bruvak doubles any amount of mill your opponents take, while Rhox Faithmender doubles any life you gain. Pair either of them with a Beacon of Immortality and you've got a combo that can end games almost instantly. Here's how it works. Say you're sitting at a comfortable 40 life, you cast Beacon of Immortality, and if Rhox Faithmender is on the battlefield, that life gain is doubled again. Instead of going from 40 to 80, you jump all the way to 120. That's 80 life gained in a single turn. At the beginning of your end step, Hope Estheim sees that you've gained 80 life and makes each opponent mill 80 cards. But if Bruvak the Grandiloquent is also out, that mill count is doubled to 160 cards per opponent. More than enough to strip entire decks straight into the graveyard in one go. The beauty of this combo is how clean and modular it is. You don't need a convoluted setup or a stack of pieces, just Hope, a single support creature, and one instant speed spell. And because Beacon of Immortality shuffles itself back into your library, you can do it again later if the table somehow survives. Rhox Faithmender is a great budget-friendly alternative if you don't have Bruvak, and it even synergizes with the rest of your life gain engine by doubling the effectiveness of your Soul Sisters and token producers throughout the game. It's an elegant win condition that fits perfectly into Hope's game plan. Turn life into fuel and that fuel into the final blow. Now, as clean and powerful as that combo sounds, there's one big wrench that can get thrown into Hope's whole game plan. Shuffle Titans. I'm talking about cards like Kozilek, Butcher of Truth, and Ulamog the Infinite Gyre. These are the kinds of cards that when they hit the graveyard immediately shuffle the owner's entire graveyard back into their library. And that's a nightmare for us, because Hope's entire win condition revolves around milling opponents out. If someone's running one of those Titans, you can end up doing all of that work just for them to reset their deck the moment it hits the bin. To protect yourself from that, it's worth running Rest in Peace. For just 2 mana, this enchantment exiles all graveyards when it enters, then exiles all cards that would go there for the rest of the game. That means if your opponent's shuffled Titans do end up getting milled, their triggers won't even go on the stack, they'll just vanish. It completely shuts off that reset button and keeps your mill plan on track, and honestly, it's one of those cards that quietly wins you games when no one else remembered to pack Graveyard Hate. So if your meta loves running Eldrazi, Rest in Peace is an easy include that will make sure Hope's work doesn't go to waste. So far, we've looked at life gain engines and the Voltron path and the cloning tricks that amplify Hope's ability, but what if you want to take things a step further? Because we're in white and blue, we actually gain access to one of the strongest combo packages in the format, Flicker Loops. Let's start with Peregrine Drake and Deadeye Navigator. Here's how it works. You have a Soul Sister effect like Soul Warden or Daxos Blessed by the Sun in play. You play Peregrine Drake, which untaps 5 lands when it enters the battlefield. You then play Deadeye Navigator, which you pair with Peregrine Drake. Then, you pay 2 mana to flicker the Drake with Deadeye Navigator, returning it to the field and untapping your lands again. You repeat the loop infinitely, Each flicker nets you 3 extra mana, and every ETB triggers your Soul Sisters. From there, you've got infinite mana, infinite life, and therefore infinite mill when Hope's end step rolls around. It's one of those clean, compact combos that doesn't need a lot of setup, and if either piece gets targeted by removal, you just flicker in response to the target. Now, for something a little more intricate, Abdel Adrian and Oblivion Ring effects. You'll need Abdel Adrian and 2 Oblivion Ring enchantments, like Journey to Nowhere, Oblivion Ring, or Fiend Hunter, and a flicker spell. With Abdel in hand, and one of the enchantments exiling the other, cast Abdel Adrian. Abdel's ability will exile non-land permanents of your choice, including one of the exile effect enchantments. When Abdel leaves the battlefield, the enchantment returns, triggering its own ETB. One enchantment targets Abdel, exiling him again. The other targets the first enchantment, creating a loop of Abdel and the enchantments blinking in and out. Each time this happens, Abdel's ability creates 1/1 human tokens, which immediately trigger your Soul Warden and any other life gain effects you have on the board. That means infinite tokens, infinite life, and again, infinite mill at your end step. The beauty of this combo is that it looks innocuous at first. Your opponents might see a blink value set up, but once the chain starts, it's functionally unstoppable without instant speed removal. Abdel Adrian's Enter the Battlefield ability is absolutely wild. There are hundreds of combos built around it. Seriously, check out EDHREC. He's got 877 listed there. Now let's get to the spicy part, the finishers. Shabraz the Sky Shark and Rhox Reaver form an infinite loop. You gain life, you draw a card. You draw a card, you gain life. The loop continues until you've drawn your deck and gained sort of infinite life. Set up Hope to mill the entire table at end step. Just be careful, it's not optional. You want to keep a Source to Plowshares or High Market handy to break the loop once you're ready to win. Then there's Water Crystal and Sphinx's Tutelage combo. Water Crystal adds +4 to any mill effect, and Tutelage mills 2 cards whenever you draw, repeating if it's a non-land that shares a colour. That means each draw often leads to a chain reaction of mill, wiping entire decks in moments. Pair that with all of your card draw, Rhystic Study, the One Ring, Sphinx's Revelation, and you've got a win condition that's equal parts flashy and satisfying. At higher power tables, speed and resilience matter. That's why I've included Rhystic Study and the One Ring for card advantage, Smothering Tithe for mana acceleration, Flawless Maneuver, Fierce Guardianship, and Teferi's Protection for survival, and Cyclonic Rift as your emergency reset button. With those upgrades, Hope moves from casual life gain deck to a genuine threat that can stand shoulder to shoulder with established high-power commanders. That's my take on Hope Estheim, a deck that balances peace and power, healing and destruction, perfectly in line with his story from Final Fantasy XIII. You can build him to nurture or to annihilate. You can win through inevitability or through a single strike. Either way, Hope proves that compassion can be a weapon, and sometimes the best way to defeat your enemies is to outlast them. If you've enjoyed this build or want to see another Final Fantasy commander at the Forge, drop a comment below, or let me know which legend you'd like me to build next. If you're enjoying the content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next deck I forge. Until next time, stay hopeful, keep crafting, and may your library never hit 0.